Would you believe that this card has been made using our striplet as the background? I'm going to show you how you can extend that pattern and get a really unique background for some of your cards. To introduce the dies that we'll be using in today's card, I've got the Madison square here, and this is what we're going to be using for the center for our sentiment. The Times square and the Herald square will be used to create some of the outer frames, and on the inner frames we're going to be using this little die. And the star of the show today is the Eternal Ring striplet, and you wouldn't believe, but that can be lined up and repeated all the way across your background, so it's really pretty. And we're going to embellish with our Camellia open petals. So I've already gone ahead and done a little bit of the cutting that we need to do using the striplet. So you can see how it lines up and extends. I'm going to do the last section here. So what you need to do is you'll have to have your tape ready. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out my cutting mat and get this all lined up straight as can be. And what you want to do for this is you want to line this up so that you can see that cutting edge clearly all the way down there. That looks like it's pretty even. Pop that into place, and I'm going to put some tape on both sides and push it down the side of the cutting plate that way. Oops. And we'll run it through our grand caliper. It's quite a bit of detail, so I'm going to run it backwards and out, and that should take care of it. Let's see if there's any extra bits. Nope, falls right out. A good die for you. How's that? Let me just tidy this up. So you can see I've got a really pretty background now, completed just with 3 cuts of that die moved over each time. Now, I've already gone ahead and done one of them and mounted it onto some purple card, okay? So what I want to do is create something that looks a little like a faux wicker background, and I find if I offset these, I can get kind of that cane look. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the center sections. Let me get that started there. And we'll trim away the excess part that we don't need. This should hold it down really nice and tight. I think if I hit them all, I can get it to stay nice and flat. And you have a nice little built-in area there just to put your glue, which is always nice. There we go, a few more. Okay, now I'm going to offset this a little bit so that each of those little circular areas are centered into where the open area is on the first one. Let me see, that looks pretty good, right about like that. Line that up a little bit more. There we go. Just gives a really different look to it. And you'll see I'll have to trim away a little bit extra, so let me just make sure that that catches nice and tight. There we go. Now, what I've done ahead of time is I've created a double frame, and these squares allow you to do that really nicely. So you have a big open area. Now the inside of this is pierced, but we don't want that part of it. We're actually going to be using the cutting line. So just by putting it onto a large piece of white card, I can cut out the bottom square and get that frame, because this will be the outside portion that I use. And then I can do a smaller frame to layer on top, and with a little bit of mounting foam, it'll give you something that looks like this. Really like the way that looks. So once I decide where I'm going to put this, I just want to make sure it covers everything, and it does. I've got some mounting foam on the back to raise it for dimension. I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to layer this over the top of this, and then we'll trim away the extra. That looks good. About like that. And then just go back in with our scissors, catching all the way under that piece there. Just be careful you don't cut your frame. There we go. And on this side. You've got several layers there, so be sure to go slow so you don't catch the top part, and a little bit on this side too. There we go. Let's tidy up our mess a wee bit. So you have a really pretty frame now. Oops. Isn't that nice? Okay, so I've gone ahead and done a base piece for this. With a little bit of mounting foam, I pierced around the edge, something I love to do. We'll put this in the center. Build that card up nice and pretty so it's got a really pretty stair-step look to it. And then let's do the inside portion of it. Now I stamped the sentiment that I wanted to use, and I put it kind of in a diagonal orientation. And using the center of the square here, I've just put a little bit of mounting foam on it, raise it up for dimension. And I've used a combination of the debossed frame from the Times Square, I believe, and the inside of the other square over the top of that. I'm just going to layer that up. Let's see if I can get that straighter. Oops, right about like that. I'm going to have to nip that away just a tiny bit. There we go. And some mounting foam on the back. Put that right into the center. Be a nice focal element for our card. Now I've went and cut some of these camellias. Now these are the open petals. I really like the way they look when they're doubled up and then the different sizes are put together. You can form the little petals up to give a little bit more dimension. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of glue and finish this last one off here. Putting this one in the middle of that. Let that set up. I've tied a messy bow out of seam binding, and I just use 3 pieces together to tie it just like you tie shoelaces. I'm going to put that into place in the corner of my card using a glue dot. Just seat that right down there. And I'll put one of the larger flowers on top of that, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of dimension, pulling those petals up and around with a glue dot. That'll fill in the center of that bow really nicely, I think. And I like to have a little bit of balance. So what I'm going to do is put some more on the top corner of various sizes. And I'll stick that up on the frame. We'll do a couple of different ones here. A little bit of a glue dot, that should hold that nicely. Right there, and I'll seat this one actually down inside the frame just to give it a little bit of a stair-step look. And then I've got a couple little white ones that I thought would be pretty. They're the tiny little ones in the set. They're absolutely itty-bitty. I think they're so cute. And we'll go ahead and put these on with glue and put one there. Right like that, and one here, right around the edge of that sentiment. Give that a second to hold up. And there you have it. Really, really nice, easy card to put together. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing you again on our next one.